wherever you are, in different countries, in different time zones, in different conditions, world over, wherever you are. We extend you a very hearty welcome. It's a pleasure to have all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, education is the base of the development of the entire universe. If there is a peace and prosperity in the world, it's because people understand who are we, why are we here, what are we doing, how can we bring harmony in the civilization, and how we all can live together peacefully. This evening, that is about 12 minutes past 3 p.m., we extend a very warm welcome to Sri Satyaprakash Das ji. He is the principal, Delhi World Public School at Siliguri. Shri Abhishek Kumar Yadav ji, Chairman, Griffins International School, that is at Kharagpur, West Bengal. We extend a very hearty welcome to Dr. Rajesh Kumar Chandel ji, Principal, Gyan Ganga International School, Jabalpur. All my brothers and sisters, Siliguri, when I talk about, it's a part of West Bengal. It is on the way when you go to a beautiful state called Sikkim. So it's a beautiful station and you call it Siliguri, you got it New Jalpaiguri, and the airport is Bagdogra. When you talk about town, it is Siliguri. When you talk about railway station, it is New Jalpaiguri. And when you talk about airport, it is Bagdogra. Right. When you talk about Jabalpur, it's a very important town. When you look into the entire Madhya Pradesh, it's a beautiful city and lots of development and lots of good things. Okay. Let me further come to Mrs. Sutapa Nandi Ghosh, ma'am. She is the principal, Olivia Enlightened English School at Siliguri. Once again, I am taking you to that chicken neck and that corridor. एंड यहीं से आपका रास्ता निकलता है जब आप जाते हैं और दार्जिलिंग पहुंचते हैं तो करसियांग, मिरिक और वो सारा एरिया पूरा जो है क्रॉस करके एंड दोज आर ऑफ लिटिल एल्डरली एज. इफ यू रिमेंबर राजेश खन्नाज मूवी मेरे सपनों की रानी कब आएगी तू, and R.D. Burman's music, that song was shot in that particular area and Siliguri and on the way to Darjeeling. Then we come to, ladies and gentlemen, I take you to Mumbai, to the Bollywood, and we have got Madam Suma Das. She is principal, Pawar Public School in Mumbai. We extend her a very hearty welcome. Then we have got Madam Achla Rachla, principal, Indian Model Public School, Solapur. Now, this gentleman who is arranging on behalf of Next Education, every day he writes 6 names, but we do not get all the people together on this common platform. Some of them, they get listed, but last couple of days, I'm noticing that all of them, they are not able to turn up, maybe because of some reasons. But we hope that others also join subsequently. So on behalf of ICSI and on behalf of Next Education, we extend a very hearty welcome to all of you for today's webinar. And today we are taking the scientific approach. Wow. When we talk about the scientific approach, we will talk about it. We'll talk about new education policy. Our chamber, which deals with the non-resident Indian and the corporate and the government interface, when we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, since 1994, when we take into consideration making education relevant is now during this pandemic, we focus on service industry, we focus on NRIs world over. There are 30 million non-resident Indians at present in different countries, in different time zones, in different continents, taking up different kind of ventures. And they're doing great job. During pandemic, like doctors, nurses, paramedical people, they are doing great job as warriors. I think our teachers, our educators, our principals, and all the education ecosystem fraternity, they are doing great, great job. They are not less than any other warrior. We are having a total complementary relationship with the Next Education, and we take into consideration Next Education is with us in this process, but it is a complementary partnership, no educational kind of a financial transactions. Okay. This is the canvas I wish to share with all of you. This is something very important. We hold almost about 25 webinars whole week, and all are related to education because I want to give you different dimension so that all principals can take benefit, all audience can take benefit, all students can take benefit. And I would request by the time I'm talking, all principals, those who have joined as a panelist today, please tell your teachers, please tell your students to come on YouTube live GS Motivator, where this particular program is going on. And just before this program, we had Mr. Imran Khan from Alwar, who has designed 65 apps, and Honorable Prime Minister of India recognized him in London all the way. He is a mathematics teacher, nothing to do with computers, but he has designed 65 apps for education. That was a remarkable program. More than 4 lakh youth joined from the whole world for that particular webinar. Okay, so now I would request all principals, meanwhile, when we are talking, kindly send a word to all teachers and all youth to come and join us on GS Motivator on the YouTube. And we would like to give away some prizes, some rewards, awards we will work out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our journey is making education relevant during this pandemic when we are talking about. Now, over here, it's very important. We have to understand Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days. At 5 p.m., we have got teachers and youth empowerment. Friday from Singapore, Jal Sanrakshan, water management strategies from Singapore. Then we have got Saturday, Swami Vivekanand ji is from Chicago, education and youth empowerment. All these programs are at 5 p.m. in the evening. On Sunday, you have got lots of programs. 9:30 in the a.m. in the morning, we start from United States and we talk about Srimad Bhagavad Gita and main India's principal Upanishad. When you talk about Adi Shankaracharya and when you talk about Srimad Bhagavad Gita, a lot to discuss and what is their relevance in today's education system. Then at 3 o'clock on Sunday, we take you to ASEAN, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei, all the 10 countries together. And we talk about India, ASEAN, and we talk about Northeast because all the 8 beautiful states, what we have got in Northeast, there's a lot to be done over there. Then at 5 p.m., like all other programs are at 5 p.m. on Sunday, if any college, any school, any institution is interested to have incubation center, Atal Tinkering Lab, you want to set up something for soft skills and life management skills for your youth, then our chamber supports you and helps you. And all services are coming complimentary from our chamber during this pandemic. No money transactions, nothing. Saturday evening, you have got another special program because at this point of time, children are locked at home with their parents. So there is a special program at 6:30 on Ayurveda for mental fitness and physical fitness, what we talk about. Then Saturday and Sunday evening, there is a special program at 8 p.m., which is from the non-resident Indians. NRIs, how they can support the Indian education ecosystem and the new education policy 2020 that we bring on Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. in the evening. And besides that, ladies and gentlemen, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because हमको पूरे भारत से बहुत सारे राज्यों से request आया that all your programs you are conducting in English, you should have something in Hindi also. तो मैं सभी को बताना चाहूंगा कि दोपहर को 12:30 बजे सोमवार से शुक्रवार तक, सोम, मंगल, बुध, बृहस्पति, शुक्र, पांचों दिन 12:30 बजे मोटिवेशनल टॉक रहती है यूथ के लिए, टीचर्स के लिए, एजुकेशन सिस्टम के लिए कि आज की युवा पीढ़ी क्या चाहती है, आज के यूथ क्या चाहते हैं, आज के यूथ क्या सोचते हैं। और जो आपका एमएसएमई का प्रोग्राम संडे इवनिंग का है, अगर आप स्टार्टअप चाहते हैं, आप स्टैंड अप चाहते हैं, आप एंटरप्रेन्योर बनाना चाहते हैं, गवर्नमेंट की क्या स्कीम्स हैं, आपको पैसा कहां से मिल सकता है, वो सारी चीजों की चर्चा हम हर संडे शाम को 5 बजे करते हैं। और दूसरा, एक स्पेशल वेबिनार सीरीज है जो मंडे टू फ्राइडे 3 PM है, और अभी हम इस प्रोग्राम को कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं 4 तारीख को नेक्स्ट एजुकेशन के साथ, और उसके बाद मंडे से फ्लिप लर्निंग के 5 प्रिंसिपल रोज आएंगे इकट्ठे और पैनल डिस्कशन दोपहर का रहेगा अगले 3 महीने के लिए। So that is the way the whole system is proceeding and working out and planning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, during this pandemic, we wish to share with all of you that we got to take into consideration that your basic food, your basic health, and your basic education. The world B2B definition will change now. Earlier it was business to business. Now you should term it and you should call it back to basics of life. It is very important, which we all have to understand. Now, whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. We all got to understand. Let us conceive wonderful ideas for empowering education. आज कुछ एक ऐप्स के बारे में भी मुझे पता लगा, जो नए ऐप्स आए हैं, कल ही रिलीज हुए हैं, वो भी हम कहीं ना कहीं बीच में शेयर करेंगे, आपको बताएंगे कि क्या चीजें हैं, कैसे है, उसके बारे में भी बातचीत करेंगे. So whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So ladies and gentlemen, in this journey, let's proceed together, let's move ahead together, all of us. So once again, we extend a very hearty welcome and a very warm welcome. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending very hearty welcome and a pleasuresome evening, all of us together, when we talk about making education relevant. And today we are talking about science. So I would request, we will start with Madam Suma Das ma'am. She can share her views for 6 to 8 minutes, and where we can talk about basically, and she can give us her vision. What does she think about, particularly when we are talking about science, and whatsoever new concept you would like to give relevant to the new education policy 2020. And we extend a hearty welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to have all of you, क्योंकि जो अध्यापक गण हैं, जो शिक्षक हैं, वही समाज का निर्माण करते हैं, उद्धार करते हैं. और आप सब लोगों के साथ ही मेरे बहुत डीप रिलेशन है. अगर मैं सिलीगुड़ी की बातचीत करूं तो पता नहीं कितनी बार मैं सिलीगुड़ी से गुजरा होऊंगा, और कितनी बार सिलीगुड़ी में ठहरा होऊंगा, और कितनी बार बाय ट्रेन, बाय एयर, बाय रोड उस जगह से, क्योंकि मेरा आर्मी का एरिया भी आगे आता है सेवक, और सेवक के साथ साथ तीस्ता के जब मैं आगे जाता हूं तो सारा हमारा माउंटेन डिवीजन जो आगे है सारा सिक्किम का. जहां मैं जबलपुर की बातचीत करूं तो सीता पहाड़ी है चंदेल साहब, और सीता पहाड़ी के ऊपर पूरा आर्मी का एस्टेब्लिशमेंट, हमारा ट्रेनिंग और सब चीजों का है. नीचे आए तो ग्रेनेडियर का सेंटर है, और आपका एरिया हेडक्वार्टर और वो सब चीजें हैं. तो हम लोग जबलपुर से भी बहुत क्लोजली जुड़े हुए हैं. मुंबई बॉलीवुड ब्यूटीफुल सिटी है, और बॉलीवुड के लोग भी बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं. तो ये हमें कहीं ना कहीं साइंटिफिक में कुछ नई पेडागोजी हमें हमेशा बता सकते हैं, दे सकते हैं. और वेस्ट बंगाल का तो कमाल है, जब आप आर्ट, क्राफ्ट, साइंस, एजुकेशन, म्यूजिक, फिल्म, किसी चीज की भी बातचीत करते हैं, तो मैं तो बंगाल को, वेस्ट बंगाल को, वहाँ के लोगों को इतना पूजनीय मानता हूँ. अगर आज कला है, संस्कृति है, तो उसमें वेस्ट बंगाल का तो बहुत बड़ा योगदान है. तो आप सभी आज की दोपहर बहुत बहुत आदर आमंत्रित हैं. आप लोगों को सबको बहुत प्रणाम है. आप लोग शिक्षक हैं. तो लेट्स स्टार्ट द इवनिंग विद सुमा दास मैम व्यूज. काइंडली अनम्यूट योर माइक मैम. या.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And thank you, Next Education, for inviting me to be a part of this esteemed panel. It is interesting to note that according to the Constitution of India, it shall be the duty of every citizen to develop scientific temper. But unfortunately, we know a lot needs to be done there. As an educationist, I would like to concentrate on two areas: students and parents. Arvind Gupta, a renowned scientist and educationist, defined scientific temper by quoting Buddha. Believe nothing merely because you have been told. Test everything and question everything. Now, when we talk about NEP 2020, I'm looking at that part which can be implemented. Now, it is a very beautiful document and it has a lot of vision. So how do we implement in the class? Now, in our school, we had done certain experiments which I feel will become the core as far as NEP is concerned. The first example I can give you in short is about the butterfly. We have all learned about the stages of the butterfly. Now, NEP wants holistic development. So here, what we did was we just gave the guidelines to the children. And we told them, now you have to learn it by experimenting. So what they did, we gave them the basics, the flowering plant they acquired, and the series started. That is, they started questioning, they started exploring, and the whole process of the laying of the egg to the caterpillar pupa and the butterfly was seen, lived by them. In our times, we just learned it. Now NEP, when we implement it, it is going to be these kind of activities which would be there. So what we understood was that this kind of teaching which will be in the future, today we do it in small parts, would be helping the child to be logical and arrive at conclusion based on facts. So this is one area. Second thing I would like here to remember, Benjamin Franklin, he said, tell me, I forget, teach me, I remember, involve me, and I learn. So here when we saw the children involved, and which also NEP wants, they totally understood the concept. The same thing I would like to give an example about science teacher. When he used an experiment in the class, he took some glasses with fruit juice in it, and he told the children that you have to drink it. They were all excited. So he said, he gave them straws and said, you will not hold it. So they took the straws, and they were very happy to drink it. But to their surprise, they found that they couldn't drink it at all, except one boy who finished it in a jiffy. So they looked with dismay at the teacher. The teacher didn't show any expression. So then, after the time was over, he asked, "What happened? Why you couldn't drink?" They couldn't say anything. Second time, he said, "Examine the straw." Again, they couldn't find. Third time, he said, "Yes, you must find. Look at whatever you can and tell me what is different because of which you couldn't drink." Ultimately, one of the students said, yes, there are some scratches. And then he said holes. Yes. Here the teacher connected it to what he taught about atmospheric pressure, and how because of that, because of the holes, the juice couldn't come up. So activity based teaching is the way forward. Children learn by doing, and when they use their hands, I'm sure it will reach the head and the heart. We all know about IQ, intelligent quotient. We know about EQ, emotional quotient, which is very prevalent today. And some even talk about SQ, spiritual quotient. But to develop scientific temper, we need curiosity quotient. Teachers realize that we need to ignite their curiosity. The conclusion should always be statistically valid. A proof without words is a way to get students to speak without the teacher teaching or verbalizing. So here we want the teacher to be a facilitator in NEP 2020. So what I would look at in future is, when we are teaching something, the teacher just gives the, for example, she may just give a manual and ask them to make a toy. It will be the child's responsibility to interpret that manual and make the toy. And if he can't make it, he can make a toy which is similar or different, which he uses as creativity. They can discuss and ask questions. Now, the second aspect that I was talking about is parent. There are the two pillars of education. Parents play a pivotal role in guiding and facilitating towards developing a logical and curious attitude. The first area I re-emphasize is curiosity. A well-trained and skilled brain with open eyes and ears to understand the significance and consequences. Parents must allow imagination to blossom. Parents must encourage questioning, motivate them, be role models, be alert and active, and they will be the backbone of nurturing scientific temper. Now, we all know about this incident. I'll just narrate it in short. This boy who comes home with a letter from his teacher, and he says that the teacher has said that we should give it only to the parent. The mother reads the letter and she smiles at the son and she tells him, The teacher says that you are a genius and you cannot be taught in our school because our teachers are not well equipped. So from that day, she started teaching him and she gave him all the encouragement possible. That boy was full of questions. He had curiosity for everything, and the parent here gave him all the opportunity to develop that curiosity. And I'm sure you have guessed it right. It was Thomas Edison. The mother gave the gift of Thomas Edison to the world because she understood what potential the child has. We all know in India, we say the home is the first school, and that is why the parent plays a key role in ensuring that we give all our encouragement to our children. History is full of such parents. We have all heard of Blaise Pascal, a child prodigy who was educated by his father. He saw that his father found it very difficult to add. So he created a machine which today we know as the calculator. So the child's scientific temper is directly related to his environment and the company he or she keeps. Today, what can we do? Or in the future, employ games and electronic devices so that the fun element is also there. Then we have various games which can be added, like chess, which allows logical sequences and strategic skills. This I'm just giving few examples. Reading comprehension, which helps in understanding. Riddles and puzzles, which are all-time favorites. So the focal time for every discussion would be to create a scientific bent of mind. What we must make our children understand the logic and reality behind events, push them to find scientific evidence for results and conclusions, motivate them. The most important, to obliterate traditional, customary, and unfounded biases, teach children to argue and debate. Most important, with the population of India crossing almost above 1.34 billion, of which 41% are below 18 years of age, it is very important that parents and teachers teach the children the importance of a scientific approach. So my question is, why do we need a scientific approach? Well, one of the reasons is to create a society free of superstition and irrational practices, to help the nation to develop in all spheres, political, economic, and social, promoting tolerance among people of different thoughts and ideas. What is the significance of scientific temper in contemporary India? Pushpa Bhargav, a Padma Bhushan awardee, stated that every citizen is obligated to develop his or her scientific temper, as it is mentioned in the Constitution. But she also feels it is easy said but difficult to put into practice. The scientists and the government and the common man has to strive to achieve this. False beliefs, unreasonable practices can be removed only by creating awareness in children about the lack of knowledge as far as reason is concerned. Children should be educated to avoid superstition and irrational beliefs. They should be taught to analyze and deal with superstition on a scientific basis. That is why NEP speaks about a paradigm shift in the entire education system. Drawing inspiration from an ancient system, it seeks to make Indian education holistic, multidisciplinary, and practical. To end, I would like to quote Bernard Shaw. As Bernard Shaw would say, you see things and ask why, but I dream things that never were, and I say, why not? We should teach our children to dream. And as Abdul Kalam said, with their eyes open, to make their dreams a reality so that they can contribute to nation building. I think with all the combined efforts of all educationists, all people of India, policymakers, and everyone related to education, we can achieve the aim of NEP to make India a global knowledge superpower. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Global knowledge
Superpower.
superpower. I was writing also, so I thought, let me write also. Wonderful. Great. Your quotes from Benjamin Franklin and Bernard Shaw and Abdul Kalam ji. अब्दुल कलाम जी वाला सब बच्चों के लिए ज्यादा जरूरी है. सपने वो नहीं है जो मुझे सोते हुए आते हैं, सपने वो होते हैं जो मुझे सोने नहीं देते. Dreams are not the one which comes to me while I'm sleeping. Dreams are the one which do not let me sleep. So I think every child over here and every teacher. आज इससे पहले एक कार्यक्रम जो था मैं जो आपसे शेयर कर रहा था, आप भी कभी देख लीजिएगा अपने आप से. इमरान खान अलवर एप्स, बस इतना ही जाना है आपको. इमरान खान अलवर एप्स. अलवर एक जगह है जो राजस्थान में है और एप्स तो हम यूज कर ही रहे हैं. इट वॉज सच ए लर्निंग फ्रॉम मी. इट वॉज सच ए लर्निंग फॉर मी. इमरान खान come from Muslim background. He is a teacher in Sanskrit school in Alwar. He is teaching mathematics over there, and he is developing apps for education empowerment. NCRT has taken 65 apps from him, and he is not from science background. He is not from computer background. He is teaching mathematics. उसको एक बात समझ आ गई कि सारी एल्गोरिथम और सारे कंप्यूटर और सारी टेक्नोलॉजी और जितना भी कंप्यूटर साइंस का हल्ला है, ये जीरो और एक का है, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है. जीरो आर्यभट्ट ने की थी, अब एक किसने किया वो आप लोग मुझे बताएंगे, बिकॉज यू ऑल आर माई टीचर टुडे. सो दैट इज द वे वी विल टॉक अबाउट. तो अभी व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट ईच वन ऑफ यू, लेट अस हैव द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन कमिंग दिस आफ्टरनून for 1000 rupees, okay? And that is only for students, not for teachers, because that's not good. Teacher, you should observe and you should allow children to come forward and to be a part of it. What I wish to share with all of you, zero was by Aryabhat, that was from India. Serial numerical one kahan se invent hua tha aur kisne kiya tha? Because that part I would like to ask. आप पहले कहते थे गूगल बाबा, अभी आज सुबह इमरान खान ने कहा उसका नाम है गूगल गुरुदेव. So it was such an interesting, and you can see a video also that Honorable Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi ji going to UK addressing Parvasi Bharatiya Divas and over there talking about Imran Khan. और देखो कौन सी अपॉर्चुनिटी लाइफ में कब आ जाती है. I would like to tell all my teachers, I would like to tell all my students, एज का कोई क्राइटेरिया नहीं है. कितने साल से आप पढ़ा रहे हैं इसका कोई क्राइटेरिया नहीं है. आपकी बायोलॉजिकल एज क्या है इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. एट द एज ऑफ 72 आई वांट टू बी ए स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. मैं सबसे सीखना चाहता हूं और मुझे आज ये लगता है कि 72 इयर्स की एज में कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आता. मैंने अपनी सारी जिंदगी गुजार दी, लेकिन मुझे लगता है मुझे कुछ नहीं आता और मुझे सीखना है, बहुत कुछ सीखना है. और जो पीएचडी मैंने की थी उस पीएचडी की आज कोई रेलेवेंस नहीं है. अगर आप अर्ली 80s में कहीं पीएचडी करो तो आपके 40 साल गुजर गए, उस 40 साल की रेलेवेंस आज क्या है. सो देयर बाई जो लोग कहते हैं ना कि हमने धूप में बाल सफेद नहीं किए हैं, बहुत साल लग गए, तो अब बात यह है कि मेरे जैसे कुछ हैं जो कहते हैं बाल ही नहीं है तो धूप क्या और छांव क्या, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. द थिंग इज, इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि आप कितने साल से पढ़ा रहे हैं, फर्क इससे पड़ता है कि आप क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं. फर्क इससे नहीं पड़ता कि आप शिक्षा प्रणाली में कब से जुड़े हैं. क्योंकि लोग मुझे कहते हैं मैं 30 साल से 35 साल से. इफ आई टेल यू माई स्टोरी, यू विल बी शॉक्ड टू नो I come from a rural rustic village school. Interiors of the village, last school, जहां पर कोई टीचर पोस्टिंग नहीं चाहता था. And I'm a third class from 11th class. दैट इज हमारे टाइम में हायर सेकेंडरी होती थी, जो अभी +2 हो गया आपका, K to 12 आप कहते हैं। हमारे टाइम में 11 तक का क्लास होता था। और मुझे याद है मैं कैसे पास हुआ। अगर मैं दोबारा कहीं 12वीं का एग्जाम दूं तो कभी भी पास नहीं हो सकता, मुझे पता है। आई के नॉट पास। द स्टडीज आर सो डिफरेंट टुडे। हमने 11 कैसे पास किया, 33-34% मार्क्स कैसे आए, और उसके बाद पढ़ाई का बिल्कुल शौक नहीं था, और बोला एक ही तरीका है, कुछ देश के लिए करो। माई फादर वॉज इन आर्मी, माई ग्रैंड फादर वॉज इन आर्मी, एंड आई ज्वाइंड इंडियन आर्मी। एंड व्हेन आई गॉट इनटू द फौज, और पूरा मेहनत किया, सब कुछ किया। फौज के अंदर ग्रेजुएशन का डिग्री आपको आर्मी का JNU से मिलता है, जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी गिव्स यू द डिग्री फ्रॉम देयर, एंड यू बिकेम ग्रेजुएट। और 8 साल की नौकरी में एज ए मेजर, देयर वाज एन अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट, और थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हुआ, मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम आया, डिफिकल्टी आया, मेडिकल कैटेगरी डाउन हुआ। और उसके बाद बोला अब क्या है कि मेजर के आगे आप नहीं जा सकते, बिकॉज योर मेडिकल कैटेगरी इज डाउन। एंड यू कांट इमेजिन इफ आई शेयर विद ऑल ऑफ यू। मैं सभी बच्चों को ये बताना चाहता हूं, और ये प्रेरणा होनी चाहिए, किसी का जीवन भी किसी की प्रेरणा बन सकता है, आपको ये बात समझना है। आई मैनेज 5 years and I did my master's, I did my PhD, I cleared the UPSC, I moved on deputation to Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and when I was with the Ministry of Tourism, I set up India's first institute for tourism for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, which is known as IITTM with my team, Indian Institute of Travel and Tourism Management. I drafted MBA Tourism for India, and I introduced that in 47 universities in India, क्योंकि एक आग थी अंदर से, एक तड़प थी अंदर से, एक गरीबी की तड़प थी, एक कुछ प्रूव करने की तड़प थी। जब तक आपके अंदर आग नहीं लगेगी और तड़प नहीं होगी, आप जिंदगी में कभी भी कुछ ऐसा नहीं करेंगे जो औरों से हट के होगा। रूटीन में पढ़ाई चलती रहेगी। और उसके बाद I've been teaching in America, I've been teaching in Canada, I've been teaching in Australia, I went way back। और 1993 के अंदर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया छोड़ने के बाद, 20 साल आर्मी की सर्विस कंप्लीट करने के बाद, एंड व्हेन आई मूव्ड आउट फ्रॉम देयर, आई सेड अब कुछ करना है, क्योंकि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म में बहुत सारे लोग आते थे जो NRIs थे, बाहर विदेश गए थे, लेकिन वो भारत आते थे और वो कहते थे हमें कोई पहचानने वाला नहीं है, हमें कोई जानने वाला नहीं है, हमें कोई रिकॉग्नाइज करने वाला नहीं है। सो लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, यू विल बी हैप्पी टू नो that way back in 1994, first time we started gathering the non-resident Indians together on a common platform. And then in 2003, then the Honorable Prime Minister of this country, he told आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं 93 onward। तो हमने कहा सर इस तरीके से NRIs आते हैं, ये सब चीज कर रहे हैं। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर भी आ गया, कुछ एम्बेसडर्स भी आ गए, सब लोग इकट्ठे हो गए, एंड देयर वाज अ बर्थ ऑफ भारतीय प्रवासी दिवस। You can't imagine what milestones you can have in life. And today you have got vibrant Gujarat, vibrant Telangana, vibrant Andhra Pradesh, vibrant Karnataka, vibrant West Bengal, vibrant, you name vibrant Madhya Pradesh, you can tell anything. कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं। तो अभी मेरे सिवे सारे जितने टीचर्स हैं और जितने स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो ज्वाइन किए हैं इस प्रोग्राम में, यूट्यूब के अंदर मुझे बताइए कि 0 का आविष्कार भारत में हुआ, लेकिन 1 का आविष्कार कहां हुआ, किसने किया, कब किया। यू हैव टू गिव मी विद अथॉरिटी। इफ यू गिव मी द करेक्ट आंसर, यू गेट 1000 रुपीज। विद दीज वर्ड्स मैं आपको अब लिए चलता हूं मुंबई में, बॉलीवुड में। हम मैडम सुमा दास को वहीं छोड़ देते हैं बॉलीवुड में। लेट हर एंजॉय बॉलीवुड एंड लेट हर बी देयर इन द कंपनी ऑफ फिल्म स्टार्स एंड एवरीबॉडी। और मैं आपको लेके चलता हूं एक खूबसूरत जगह पर जिसका नाम है सिलीगुड़ी। ये वेस्ट बंगाल का हिस्सा है। बागडोगरा के एयरपोर्ट उतरते हैं, एग्जिट लेते हैं, बाहर आते हैं, टैक्सी पकड़ते हैं, थोड़ा आगे आते हैं, एक गोल चक्कर आता है। अब यहाँ से डिसाइड करते हैं, थोड़ा रुक जाइए क्योंकि मेरे को यहाँ पर सुतापा नंदी घोष मैम को पूछना पड़ेगा, मैं लेफ्ट टर्न लेके दार्जिलिंग जाऊं या मैं सीधा चल के आपके स्कूल में आऊं। तो मैडम कह रही है दार्जिलिंग रोड पे मत जाओ, सीधा आ जाओ, आगे ये रोड जो है सेवक में मिलेगी, सिलीगुड़ी टाउन से गुजरेगी और आगे फिर आप नदी के साथ साथ चलना और सिक्किम चले जाना, यहाँ से गैंगटॉक एंजॉय करना। तो थोड़ी देर के लिए सिलीगुड़ी रुकते हैं। सुतापा नंदी घोष मैम गोइंग टू टॉक टू अस ऑल द वे फ्रॉम सिलीगुड़ी। हार्टी वेलकम टू हर एंड लेट्स टेक what exactly is her vision इट इज अ साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट क्या चीज होती है, थोड़ा बात करते हैं इसके बारे में मैडम.
हैप्पी आफ्टरनून टू एवरीबडी. गुलशन जी, हैप्पी आफ्टरनून. मैंने हैप्पी बोला, मतलब सब कुछ हैप्पी होना चाहिए अभी.
सब कुछ हैप्पी है.
और
हम तो
आपको
I'm,
माय
I'm a very happy soul always, ma'am.
यस यस. एंड थोड़ा सा मेरा वॉइस थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है मेरा. आई हैव फुल कफ, so please pardon me if means I'll be happy if I'm excused in certain times when I have to cough.
Ladies and gentlemen, madam is very smart from Siliguri. बिकॉज जब मैंने कहा कि बंगाली लोग गाना गाते हैं, म्यूजिक में अच्छे होते हैं सब कुछ, तो इन्होंने पहले ही कहा मेरा गला थोड़ा खराब है, तो कहीं डॉक्टर शर्मा ये ना कहें कि आप वो क्या नाम है श्रेया घोषाल की तरह कुछ गा दीजिए. तो मैं वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, आप अपना वोकल कॉर्ड ही बता दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं.
I'm unwell with my cough, so please pardon me if I'm having getting excused with some of my time when I'm coughing. So talking to NEP and NEP 2020 and the involvement of scientific temper. So here I want to just tell that here we are in the middle of a race between human skills as to means and human folly as to ends. Unless men increase in wisdom as much as knowledge, increase of knowledge will be increase in sorrow. To increase this wisdom, scientific temper plays a vital role. When we quote the term scientific, which comes from science, we need to first realize the meaning of the term science. Vigyan, which means Vishesh Gyan, a special knowledge. And from my point of view, I also quote it as V plus Gyan. It means victory plus knowledge, which means victory over knowledge. That means above knowledge is wisdom. So I just quote it again, V plus Gyan, that is victory over knowledge, which is actually wisdom, which comes from scientific temper. So to increase this wisdom, scientific temper plays a vital role. Now, this genesis and development of the idea of scientific temper is connected to ideas expressed earlier by Charles uh, Charles Darwin when he said, freedom of thought is best promoted by the gradual illumination of men's mind, which follows from the advance of science. Even Karl Marx, who was a social scientist, he also quoted, religion is the sign of the approved creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless condition. It is the opium of the people. So these two people, they have quoted before Pandit Nehruji. When we talk about the term scientific temper, which was the first coined by our first president of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Before this term was not at all used. Even in the Western countries, it was not used. Now people come up with the term of scientific temper. So the society where scientific temper enhances, the development also enhances. It removes superstitions, enhances productivity, encourages research to know the truth, seeks reasoning for everything, comes to an opinion after discussion and debate. It helps to give challenge to the fear of unknown, and this challenge of knowing the unknown has brought many new facts. Science and scientific temper, though we quote it from the term science, they are not synonymous. Scientific temper is a way of thinking critically and rationally, the ability to question what is told to us and not satisfied with the answer just because it is uttered by some authorized person with authority. Scientific temper is something that all of us is much a social and political tool as it is scientific one. Since for this reason, Nehru said that scientific temper is the spirit of a free man. So before we inculcate scientific temper in children, we need to inculcate in children the freedom of speech. Because whenever comes scientific temper, comes reality, comes truth. So Jawaharlal Nehru strongly believed in two wonderful concepts. That was freedom of speech and a concept which he had coined, as I said, with the nation, he coined scientific temper. And we already know that it was incorporated in our constitution. So the term scientific temper is a wonderful second way to describe a broad concept. By speaking of a nation with a scientific temper, He wanted to speak of the people of a nation who would be able to think independently, understand and practice the scientific method in their daily lives, analyze and not to take statements as their face value, and avoid simplistic reasoning. Of course, it has been easier said that done to create that atmosphere in a nation where superstition, religion, rumor, myth, and innumerable beliefs abound. When we talk about scientific temper, we should not always take it to scientific invention or discoveries. It's a way of life. It's an attitude of life which we need to inculcate in the children. We can't tell that a person studying science or a child studying science should always have only the child should have scientific temper who is studying science. Every individual, every citizen should have scientific temper, because this is the right to our constitution, and this is a duty bound of a citizen to have scientific temper in his belief, in his values, in his attitude. So I'll just talk about one person. Why I'm talking about a bit of the history of scientific temper is we are wanting to incorporate scientific temper in the children, but without knowing the history of scientific temper and what is the reason that this NEP 2020 is demanding for scientific temper, is very important to know about the history, from where the scientific temper came about. Why we need scientific temper is very important. The founder of the Maharashtra Blind Faith Eradication Committee, Narendra Dabolkar, he worked to attempt to spread scientific temper and ideas of rationalism. For his efforts, he was assassinated in August 2016. But to carry his beliefs, to carry what he said, what was correct, to carry that, his people, a group of 40, they made one association. And this association was All India People Science Network, a network of about 40 people. They led a movement, and then it was declared 20th August as the National Scientific Temper Day. Now, this day, do we observe? We observe so many days, but do we observe this day, National Scientific Temper Day? Because when we observe this day, the importance of this day reveals. And when we make this day important, the entire nation will get the importance. When we feel it important, children will feel it important. Now, as much the insight of Dabolkar's understanding of scientific temper, he said, as much belief as there is evidence of. So he clearly quoted that whatever you have evidence, you need to believe in that. You cannot believe in anything for which we do not have any evidence. And it is not only for science, it is for everything, for every aspect of our life. Now, why do we need scientific temper? Because my self-evaluation says that in general, we as an individual or as a nation we have lost nationalism, we have become machine-centric, we have lost originality, we have lost self-confidence, we look for more external recognition, we are followers rather than self-organizers. I'm not talking about leadership right now. Leadership comes after achieving scientific temper. I'm just talking about why we need scientific temper. So here I'm focusing on one thing, that is, we have become more machine-centric. We have become followers rather than self-organizers. We have encapsulated ourselves in social evils. So these all have incorporated us to become a duty-less citizen rather than a duty-bound citizen, which our constitution speaks. When we talk about scientific temper, we also talk about patriotism. Now, what is the connection between scientific temper and patriotism? There is a big relationship. When we talk about constitution being laying as scientific temper as one of the duties of the citizenship, then patriotism automatically comes in the way. So if you are abiding and following scientific temper, if you have an attitude of scientific temper, you automatically become patriotic by abiding to the Constitution. So here patriotism lies, which is totally connected with scientific temper. Next comes the correlation of national and youth problems, which is also correlated with scientific temper. Youth problems, the first problem, laziness and postponement. They are lazy. This youth is lazy. They want to achieve with a very less time and very less effort many things. They postpone the things. Now, what national problem it is laying to? Low productivity, which is leading to poverty, inefficiency. Second is the desires beyond needs. We have the desire beyond our need. We have some basic needs, but the desires are continuously engrossing day by day beyond the need, which is leading to a national problem, that is greed and corruption, social injustice. Third is attraction and romance. Now, this is also leading to a basic national problem, that is health and mental unrest. The fourth is groups based on caste, religion, and region, which is again coming to a national problem, that is disunity. Now, how scientific temper can eradicate all these national problems, which are actually youth problems, through our schooling, through our parenting, which already my previous speaker spoke, that it is having a very good correlation between parenting and schooling. Teachers and parents together can bring about the scientific temper in the children. What we are doing, as a parent, we stop them from questioning. As a teacher, we stop them from arguing. We stop them from asking questions. If a child asks that why this is written here, this in this book, this I don't feel is correct, the teacher stops the child speaking, what is written in the book, that is correct, you don't need to use your brain. To quote here, I just speak, science develops brain and brain develops science. These are correlated. If I say that science is developed by brain and brain is developed by science, these are simultaneously interrelated, be it whatever subject. I'm just focusing in, when we talk about scientific temper, basically people focus only on science, the advancement on science, uh, uh, making of some invention, but I am totally quoting it as an attitude of life, because every single individual need to have a scientific temper, need to have the inquisitiveness, need to have the curiosity to ask questions, to ask why. Now, this is the thing which we want to inculcate in our children, which we should inculcate in our children. Ask why. This should be the tagline of every parent and of every teacher. Ask why. So this is one of the major things to enhance scientific temper in the children. Now, when scientific temper, they teaches us how to ask question, the freedom to ask question, the freedom to become curious, the aggressive anti-science and anti-rational atmosphere whipped up by obscurantist forces with official support has generated a climate of intimidation and even violence in an attempt to eradicate science, to overlook critical thinking in our education and intellectual institution. So when we talk about scientific temper, we are telling the children become curious, ask questions, become inquisitive. But when they ask questions, we stop their freedom of speech. We stop them to talk. We stop them to think. We just tell them to focus on marks. We just tell them that this is not right. You can't ask this question. Questioning in a child is the first lead to curiosity. So, based upon this, I just want to talk about some curiosity based, as ma'am previously talked about how to make, about the curiosity question. I will also talk about some of the curiosity questions. So, But before that, I want to speak about how we can nurture scientific temper in children at a very young age. First of all, we need to let them research. Let them research to know more, to know answers to questions instead of directly giving them ready-made answers. Creating curiosity in them of questioning, developing critical thinking skills, supporting them when they experiment. Now, this is a thing which I want to speak. Experimentation. Experimentation is the liberty of only the higher classes. Why? Experimentation should start from day one when the child has started asking questions. Experimentation can begin from home. Experimentation is not only the strategy to which leads to invention, discovery, and practice for marks. It should be an attitude. It should be a belief that any experiment leads to an answer. So whenever children are experimenting, we should encourage them, supporting them when they experiment, opportunities to apply what they learn. Whatever they are learning, they should get the opportunity to apply. Now, ma'am also talked about games like chess, which enhances logical thinking. So, if in case, other than chess, which is a normal game, if suppose every academic activity could incorporate something known as gamification, that would help the child to enhance the logical thinking and incorporate scientific temper in the child. Now, when we talk about curiosity quotient, now curiosity quotient is not a mathematical calculation. It's not a calculation to be done that yes, this child has this much of curiosity quotient. It's a value that how many questions a child asks in a day, what type of inquisitiveness the child has. So to become an early adopter, if I talk about how to enhance the curiosity quotient in children, there are certain tips. For example, to become an early adopter, if we can enhance, if we can produce children, if we can produce in children the curiosity to become an early adopter, then I think the curiosity quotient of the child enhances. Don't be afraid of trying something new. Always we are restricting the children to try something new. So if we encourage them to try always something new, they become in real mode an adopter, a person to adopt, to frame, to make new things. Being curious about the new increases our understanding of the status quo. Now, second is deepen your understanding. Now, what happens is we are always inculcating in the children the mode of understanding by the teacher.
Ma'am, I'm very sorry. Actually, time is very short,
Okay,
and I have to accommodate three more people.
I'll just
थोड़ा
finish
सा
off with lines.
I
I
will
know
request you,
I
make
have
a
been
humble request.
speaking a lot.
Also,
This is the problem of calling the
no,
directors
no,
and the principals. You have to hear a lot.
okay.
I'll just end it by speaking some more things. So
Yeah.
I'll just not explain the things, only the few sentences. To become early adopter, to deepen your understanding, to tackle the challenging assignments, to keep on evolving, to keep on innovating, to challenge your perspective, to broaden your comfort zone. So like any other muscle, I'll just explain in a scientific way, as it is a scientific temper to be brought up in the children. Like any other muscle, the curious brain works better and works happier in constant practice. This is how the spark of curiosity can feed your passion. So in this way, I think I'll just end my day with my quote that we need to just put in curiosity in our brain with the enhancement of curiosity quotient.
Thank you.
For listening.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you.
Thank
Now,
you.
let me move from Siliguri to West Bengal, and I go to Abhishek ji. Abhishek ji, let's have quick review and the words and input of yours. And from there, then either we can go to Siliguri or we can go to Jabalpur, wherever they feel like. I can take the flight to any destination because both the sides we can move on. Abhishek ji.
I invite you to Jabalpur, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Abhishek ji.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here. It's such an esteemed panel. Earlier speakers have explained in detail what scientific temper is. We have been trying to inculcate this since early mid-90s, and still as a country, I think we are way behind what we should be. If I put in terms of simple layman terms, I would say it is about people having common sense to see through things, because a lot of things are being told to us on a regular basis, and we don't analyze whether it is true, it is possible or not, and we just accept those things. If I speak to the students, after the exam, you go to the temples and pray, God, इस बार number अच्छे दिला दो, अगली बार मैं पढ़ लूँगा. I will say that will not work, because God is not going to change your answers. So that is called scientific attitude and temper, right? You should focus on doing the things right rather than expecting miracles to happen. That is what is scientific temper. And a lot of education policies have tried to do that. And ma'am was mentioning about a day where we celebrate the scientific temper day. But I differ on that because I think we have been celebrating Gandhi Jayanti for quite some time, and still we haven't learned to speak the truth. So more or less, it is, if we have to bring some substantial changes, unless they are incorporated into the systems, which on a day-to-day can be practiced, no real change can happen. Certainly not by celebrating days, but rather, let's say we want children to ask questions, right? That is very important. We say that unless curiosity is there, children will not be able to develop this temperament. Of course, at the beginning of their life, they are curious, and as they grow, we discourage them to ask questions, and that is why they end up not asking the right questions. All teachers have now understood and encourage students to ask questions. But I would say you should go a step further. Only allowing students to ask questions will not lead to development of scientific thinking. Rather, teachers asking the right questions to the students, which will make them think. That is going to make the students start thinking. One experiment which Madam Das had said, and like that, many more instances. You ask them the right questions, then they start thinking, oh yes, why not? Why is this? Is there any other possibility? All those things will start flowing in. We have to, as teachers, educators, have to channel their energy, their curiosity, their thought process in the direction we want. And that is possible, but only if we do it on a day-to-day basis. As an institution at Griffins, what we have done is that lesson plan itself requires teachers to mention at least 2 questions in every chapter, where they have to start thinking out of the box completely. Only then we can develop scientific temper among students. And as we are speaking about NEP, National Education Policy, I am extremely happy that without a doubt, it is a leap of huge, I would say, impact. And I will highlight few points which I think are going to make the change. First and foremost is that they are introducing coding at class 6 itself. Coding, if I put it very correctly, it is simple, logical way of doing things. Nothing more, nothing less. The syntax, other things can go aside, but it is end of the day logical way of proceeding to do things. If you are doing that, you are learning scientific temper. Also, the new education policy is bringing one very beautiful thing that is called vocational skills and training from class 6 itself. Earlier, a lot of people looked down upon it, but I think it is very, very important and very vital. It will help students develop those skills and start thinking in a completely different fashion. So that is a big change which this NEP is bringing. One more thing which is very important is the assessment reform that is coming in. Now, if you analyze the reason, why has India not been able to develop this scientific temper? Despite having IITs and so many big, brilliant scientific institutions, the reason is that only one thing. What are parents targeting on? Parents are targeting on the marks. For the simple reason, because that is the only parameter they have to measure. As a parent, if I want to judge how well my child has done, I will get the percentage of marks in his report card. Now the reform says you should have a 360-degree holistic progress card, report card. So now if I am having many more elements to analyze, as a parent, I will see, oh, my child is good in music. I can see he's been doing excellently well. Maybe I will push him in that. Maybe I will push him in that. Different fields which they can explore. And the beauty of one more thing which CBSE specifically is doing now, going ahead, the question papers are not going to be very simple in terms of just the basic skills of learning. They are going to focus on more of analytical skills, more of case studies. Earlier chairman had also spoken, the current chairman has also again stressed that slowly and slowly they will introduce. So when you see, if I consider this education system as an extrusion process, final product will always be in the shape of the final extrusion machine. If the final examination or the board examination requires students to have analytical skills, teachers will teach accordingly, children will also learn accordingly, and certainly they will develop these scientific skills which we are all trying to inculcate among students. So I see great potential in this. Another, especially if you look at the higher education sector, multidisciplinary education and research universities are also proposed by government. So there are a lot of initiatives which are being taken, but I will not take much time considering that we have already crossed a lot of time. But primarily again, I would say, big changes don't come by big steps, but small steps taken on a consistent basis. If you want your children to develop scientific temperament, ask your teachers to allow them to ask proper questions. Right questions are more important than anything else. Thank you. All the best to all of you, and I hope each one of our schools develop kids who have the scientific attitude.
Point well taken. Point well taken. Thank you very much. I would request all principals kindly tell your teachers and students to take active part. आपका कोई प्राइज लेने के लिए कोई बच्चा आगे ही नहीं आ रहा है. Nobody is giving the reply on that. That is not correct. आज तो I was thinking कि there are more principals, there will be active participation, but unfortunately I'm finding that there is a less participation today. आपके बच्चे ज्यादा डायनेमिक होने चाहिए, सब कुछ है. मैडम दास चाय पीने गए थे, वापस आ जाएं अभी. सुतापा मैम, प्लीज कम बैक. ओके, राजेश कुमार चंडेल जी, लेट्स हैव क्विक वर्जन ऑफ योर्स because Das Saab had been kind to give a permission to you to speak first. Yes. And Ghosh ma'am had a wonderful cup of tea and she has come back. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gulshan, and I appreciate your at 72 you having with you and your passion towards learning. Your ICSI is doing wonderful. I appreciate to know about your entire career band which you shared with us. And one thing which I was just thinking that what to talk, what not to talk today about the scientific temperament. I was relating it with the gurus and way back. If I'm just talking about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I'm not saying that scientific temperament has to be developed. Scientific temperament was there, is there, and will remain there for the years to come. It will not come from somewhere. If we just think about a child taking birth, and child is taking birth after 9 months of the wait, we can say. I believe that all of us, we believe on, not I, but all of us believe that the children, those who are taking birth, these are considered to be the God gifts. And God leaves no stone unturned in putting all the intellect in the child, everything in the child. So he must have put the scientific temperament also in the child. It's not only that new education be focusing on the development of the scientific temperament, then only the scientific temperament will come. Scientific temperament was there. I just appreciate the words of Abhishek sir, that we have to just move the children in the right way, that we have to ask the right questions, we have to motivate them in the right direction that can maintain that scientific temperament. Even just talking something about Guru Nanak Ji, he before Big Bang, he said so many things about this. And six beliefs, their belief have not been, we can say, disapproved by the science also. And the scientific facts, they support the teaching of the Guru Nanak Ji. He said that there are planets, solar systems, and galaxies. If one speaks of them, there is no limit, no end, and there are words upon words in his creation. And this is written in Guru Granth Sahib. Now which science has brought that? That was the scientific temperament of our gurus. Now, this scientific temperament remained there, and then after that, when we are talking about the previous centuries which moved on, if I'm talking about the 19th century, I believe a lot of inventions happened in 19th century. And I can quote that century was the age of the inventions. If I'm just moving that was my century actually, in which we took birth, 20th century, in which I think all of us took birth and we belong to that particular century. That is the age of information explosion that was. And even the telecommunication exploded in some different way. Now the children of the 21st century, those who are going to school, they are the citizens of the 21st century. They're not the children. They're not the citizens of tomorrow. They are citizens. And this age is the age of quality and excellent and information intelligence through the technology only. Now, this age which is there for the information and technology with excellence, I believe the scientific temperament is coming out now. The children, they are not believing on you. Child scoring 99.5%, if you're compelling him to go for the science stream, will say no to that. No, I don't want to go to that because I want to join the commerce stream or I want to join something else. So they're having something in their mind. Their intellect is wonderful. So there is no, we can say, question mark on this, that we are not having the children, those who are not having the scientific temperament. One thing which I am just taking that because this particular new education policy is especially focusing on the development of the scientific temperament. Scientific temperament, along with that, they have spoken about integration of the subjects also. They are talking about the art integration. They are talking about the sports integration. But I believe that, yes, the children, those who are talking today about this type of the education and they are having privilege of having this education, and this corona, this COVID, this pandemic has built in a different way, we can say. The online education, digital education, whether it is being provided by the next education also, I think this has come out. And the pilot studies were being done. It's not like that this online education has come now. This was there. NIOS is functioning very well. IGNO is doing well. IITs are doing well. NITs are doing well. And digital infrastructure, yes, of course, this is the point that digital infrastructure is to be expanded, that has to be increased. Online teaching platforms are to be developed, more tools are to be developed, and we have to address the digital divide also. Virtual labs are to be created, more and more virtual labs which are there. I think that if any of you are using this content of the next education, they have wonderful virtual labs in their system. They are having the training instructions for the teachers also, and the online assessment of examination, be it the next education's concept or be it the Parakh, which is the program launched by the government of India. And I believe that blended model of learning is required, in which we need to have the scientific temperament, we need to have the art integration, we need to have everything. I don't want to take much of the time. With the scientific temperament of all the principals, the teachers, the educators, I believe all the students of our schools are going to build it in the better way, in the positive direction. Jai Hind. Thank you so much, Gulshan.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rightly, what a wonderful package. Satyaprakash Das sir, let me come back to Siliguri. मुझे ये बताइए कि बागडोगरा एयरपोर्ट के बाहर आने के बाद वो थोड़ा सा आगे आके लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में एक बड़ा सा शॉपिंग मॉल है, उसका नाम क्या है?
That is the city center, sir. That is called
city center. City center. और उसी सड़क पर आगे आते जाइए. घोष मैम का भी क्विज क्वेश्चन है, कोई बात नहीं. थोड़ा और आगे आते जाते ही सिलीगुड़ी का पूरा टाउन क्रॉस कर लीजिए. लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में थोड़ा
आप वहां से दार्जिलिंग आते हैं.
नहीं सर, वो भी आगे आ जाइए. सीधा रोड पे चलते जाइए सेवक को. जहाँ टाउन खत्म होता है, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में एक जो होटल है, थोड़ा सा चढ़ाई चढ़ के, उसका क्या नाम है?
सिंक्लेयर होटल.
नहीं, सिंक्लेयर अंदर आ गया सर. मेन रोड के ऊपर एक होटल है, थोड़ी देर में याद आ जाएगा मेरे को. Because I stay there only whenever I am traveling. Okay, Satyaprakash ji, please start, sir. Das sir.
Yes, well, I'm the last speaker.
No, sir, but you are the most important speaker.
No, not important, and I wouldn't like to bore others because all others have spoken facts, but I always believe in brevity is the soul of wit. Okay. So I would like to be brief. And absolutely, and the views that I'm going to share, are absolutely very, very personal and absolutely my own, which might be accepted by others or not, which I have imbibed, well, gathered after years of being in the teaching and the education field. Well, when you talk of scientific temper, it is a habit or a quality of the mind. It is coming to conclusion and making decisions based on evidence, reason, and logic. Now, quality of the mind is something very, very important. This habit or quality of the mind that develops the scientific temper has been responsible for us to shape our own personal life. It is responsible for us to shape our society. It is responsible for us to shape our civilization and whatnot. It is linked right from the very dawn of civilization till today. But is the scientific temper has the scientific temper developed properly? If you ask me, I would like to talk in very simple terms without using any jargons or techniques, because I found some of our madams and some of our other speakers that have spoken or giving. So I would like to repeat them. But what I would like to insist on is that the mind is an important area of study for us to develop the scientific temper. Now, everything, we must understand as educators, everything begins in the mind. The mind is the hell of heaven and heaven of hell. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. The mind in itself takes it for a hermitage. सब कुछ हमारा दिमाग से शुरू होता है. So how the mind can be trained, dear educators? That's more important. Training of the mind for us. You know, we have so many good scholars in India. We have so many educators in India, so many intelligent people. But it's time now, it's high time. India being such a powerfully potential country. You know, we find talents are being wasted. We know what things are happening. We know how there's a policy paralysis. It's all because of scientific temper. Mind is such an important thing. How can we put the mind in the right direction? That's more important. I would like to quote, because I'll be very, very short and precise, but something very, very relevant, which I'll give some food for thought. Being a literature teacher, but having, you know, a lot of leaning towards science, I would like to say, and then come down to some specific problems. You know, Rabindranath Tagore has said, where the mind is without fear and the head is all high, where knowledge is clear and clean. In that line, I would like to say, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit. Now, this is very, very much related to the scientific temper. You know what Rabindranath Tagore has spoken is a very telling, brief, powerful commentary on our country's intellectual status. What he meant was that if our reasoning is clear, if you have good logical reasoning, good logical outlook, you know, good scientific outlook, or what you call the science-mindedness, if you teach our children to be more practical-minded, not to be led by blind beliefs, blind opinions, blind superstition, as is happening in the world, you know, we could lead our children in a more proper way. That is what he meant. Instead of allowing them to follow traditions very slavishly, very blindly. That is why I said, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habits. So most of our views, our beliefs and faiths are based on something that has no base. But to develop a scientific thinking, you know, we must first, what I personally feel is, you know, because the new education policy has focused on this, has laid emphasis on it. What I think is that our focus should be on the curriculum. How we should have the right curriculum so that our teaching is not just content-based or text-based, right? To develop the scientific temper, you know, scientific temper, as somebody has already said, comes from the word science. And science doesn't just only mean, it doesn't mean a body of knowledge. Science doesn't mean a body of knowledge. Science means, you know, a method. Science means a practical way. Science means something by which you do and by which you can learn something. So keeping all these things in mind, the content that should be put in such a way in the curriculum that our children should be able to learn it that way. Learning by doing is a very, very important thing. As Sutapa ma'am and many others have elaborated it in detail. So I don't want to get into all this. Madam Das also had spoken about it in very nicely. They have given those examples. But what I want to insist is that, as one of our learned panelists also said, that encouraging our children to ask questions. Now, but just encouraging them to ask questions at random will not do. I appreciate what Sir said. They must ask the right type of questions. That is very, very important. हम लोग कुछ बोलते हैं कि सवाल पूछो, अरे भाई क्या सवाल? वो कुछ पागल के सवाल पूछेंगे तो उसके क्या उत्तर देंगे? पागल जैसे उत्तर देना पड़ेगा नहीं. They must ask us the right question, pertaining to the right thing, whatever is it in their mind. Of course, they have their own inquisitiveness, they have their own curiosity, they have all these things. But we should guide them in the right way so that they are led, directed in the right way to right questions, and we should be armed to give them the right answers. Because, and teaching them also, when you make them to ask questions, we must also give them the right sources from which they'll be able to find the right answers, put them into more research work. If these minds are fed on the right things, slowly they will develop, a very orderly, systematic, scientific way of looking at things, of viewing things, of dealing with things. And slowly the scientific temper will develop in them. And once these things develop in the beginning, the mind finally continues in that way. So what I think is that the focus should be on how a child's mind should be shaped, because we just know to burden them and the bags full of books containing facts. But science, as I told you, doesn't have to do only facts, but the methods that the children should follow is very, very important. So I always feel personally the new education policy should also revamp the curriculum and make it more practical oriented, where our teachers should also be trained to face these challenges and to teach the children in the right way instead of just going and delivering contents and coming back satisfied. Because today what I find personally, that more of teaching is taking place and less of learning is taking place. More of teaching is taking place and less of learning is taking place. So this is what we should remember, and we should make our curriculum, because the focus for our children, since this debate is developing scientific temper, it should be mostly the children wants to develop, because they are a future, because the future is going to be something totally different, what we all have not seen, what we all have not faced. 21st century is a very, very challenging century, and even beyond that, perhaps many of us will not be alive to see the centuries that are coming one after the other. But what I personally would advocate is that if we do not know the future of the world or the country, but we can always prepare our children for that future by giving them the right type of education they need, by building in them a scientific temper. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Das sir. It was very powerful. And I think you woke up everybody, those who were sleeping. I think that was something very interesting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, few takeaways. It was very interesting deliberation and inputs. Now, first of all, the entire universe is based on art, culture, and heritage, right? So when I'm talking about scientific temperament, am I talking science as a subject and scientific approach towards life? Or am I talking about art, craft, heritage, and culture, and everything based off my society? That's second part. Number two, we used to give so much of emphasis to STEM, but we never gave emphasis to STEAM, which has now come in NEP.
Yes.
So now, sir, you want to say something?
Okay. Because this, what you rightly said, Dr. Sharma sir, that STEAM, from the STEAM, it was STEM, but A was missing, and A stood there for arts, which is very, very important. Thank you, sir.
So,
please.
So from the STEM, we have come to the STEAM. And when you talk about A is based on art. If I want to give values to my children, all our Vedas, our temples, our heritage, our Nalanda, our Takshila, our whatever you talk about, when we say India is a unity in diversity, that is because what happens is the moment I go to Sumadas ma'am, there is a different culture, different cuisine, different costumes, different dances, different music, different, altogether different flavor. When I go to Madam Ghosh, it's altogether different. When I come to Das Saab, it is different. When I come to Chandel Saab, it is different. When I go to Yadavji, it is different. Because every 20 kilometer I go. So the whole world base is art. And when I talk about art, art blended with what? With culture. And art and culture blended with heritage. So when I'm talking about scientific temperament, it is something very interesting we would like to leave away with. It is very unfortunate and it is good also, blessing in disguise. Before new education policy, the IITs and science subjects, and my child is in medical stream, my child is in this stream, and anybody who is basically from a art stream, it is poor art child, poor art subject, you know, okay, he's little better, he's in commerce. You know, the thing is, if we started giving that kind of a feeling, there was something missing and we were missing the base. And if the foundation is not strong, you cannot build a superstructure of humanity. And thereby, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back to the whole system, you would be so happy to know that out of 37 sector scale councils of the government of India, at present 37 sector scale councils, Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council is doing the best. When you talk about once again, and thereby there is something great learning from all of you, whether Mr. Das or Madam Das or Madam Ghosh or Chandel ji or Yadav ji, there is a great learning from all of you. All these days, today, when we are going to be nearing 400 webinars exclusively on education, and every Sunday, we also have a deliberation from the non-resident Indians. If you have time, I would request you, what we cannot get out of 100 books, you can get in 1 hour. The coming Sunday, the lady is going to talk from Houston at 8 p.m. in the evening. And she is going to talk about something very interesting subject she is talking about. And I was deliberating with her, India's educational heritage, the new education policy 2020. And then she is going to talk about India's educational heritage, that is on coming Sunday. And also, during these 400 webinars which we are nearing, I learned so much from all of you. There is something interesting which has emerged. Music can be taught by mathematics can be taught by music, physics can be taught by music, chemistry can be taught by music, history can be taught by music, geography can be taught by music. And it was so interesting. There are so many experts, those have come. If you see the channel GS Motivator, there was a talk from Mr. Thomas. Don't forget, Mr. Thomas, last week he came from Mumbai, and he has designed a special program. Our Satyaprakash Dasji was telling that there should be a teacher empowerment program, principal empowerment program. Don't worry, sir. There's a 50 hours program packed into the new education policy for principals and teachers as a part of this system. Now, what I wish to share is 14th of December to 31st of December, when we say goodbye to this year, 14th to 31st December at 5 p.m. every day, we are taking one subject and we are talking about music for education, music in education, music with education. Any term you can use that we can take on, and we can start. With these words, my deepest gratitude and thanks to all of you for having come today. And now finally, ladies and gentlemen, 10-second or 15-second song from Madam Ghosh from Siliguri all the way, because Bengalis are very good singers. She was pretending I have got a bad throat, I don't have a good throat. But from Siliguri, my course mate is there, Major Gurung. I will send him to your place, to your school, and he will check up whether madam is really well or she is pretending. So thereby, I would request you. Now I remember the hotel also, Das Sahab, Satya Prakash Das ji.
Hanji.
I remember my hotel where I stay, Sarovar.
Oh, Sarovar. Yes, sir. Hamare yahan. Yes, it is near Sevak Road.
I stay at Sarovar whenever I travel and I cross that place.
Sir, next time kabhi aayenge to boliye, we will be there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, before we develop the scientific temperament, here is the 30 seconds beautiful song coming from, Madam Ghosh this evening, closing ceremony of this particular program. See, people are clapping already. Das sahab, aap bhi clap karo na thoda sa. Baki sab log clap kar diye.
Sir, I know Madam Suttappa very well.
Yes.
She's a good singer. She's a very good singer.
Very good, very good. Okay, very nice, very nice. So 30 seconds, because West Bengal, without singing is not possible. Please.
Gulshan ji, it has become a terrific.
Sutta ma'am, cholun, start.
Please, ma'am.
I really
Please, ma'am.
don't know what to sing.
30 seconds, any song, ma'am. Bengal without song. आपने तो धर्मेंद्र को भी हीरो बना दिया, जो बेचारा किसान था. So that is Satyajit Ray. He made him also a beautiful hero. बताइए.
Okay, my God, you have I did not know that I had to sing today.
Man, if I don't give surprise to principal, then how the things are going to be?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Some Ravindra Sangit, man.
Yes.
Anything will do, ma'am. Anything.
Okay, one Ravindra Sangeet only.
Very kind.
Okay. আমি চিনি গো চিনি তোমারে ও গো বিদেশিনী আমি চিনি গো চিনি তোমারে ও গো বিদেশিনী তুমি সৎ তুমি থাকো সিন্ধু পারে ও গো বিদেশিনী আমি চিনি গো চিনি তোমারে ও গো বিদেশিনী Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
All of you, thank you. It was such a wonderful panel. Thank you very much.
गुलशन जी, आज आपने मुझको really challenge दे दिया, क्योंकि you cannot imagine the type of throat which I am having.
Don't worry, ma'am. Now you go and have a nice banaksha, nice tea, and Darjeeling tea and everything.
My throat will open. Really,
God bless you. God bless.
Thank you so much for encouraging.